This is an artist really at the height of their powers, being given the creative reign to make a beautiful LP that a lot of people will want to listen to. So beabadoobee's third album, This Is How Tomorrow Moves, is out now. I have described myself as a beabadoobee enjoyer, but not previously as a beabadoobee fan. But this is the album for me that changes everything. I listened to it for the first time on stream last Friday, and I was really captivated by just how mature and how eclectic this album is. I think a lot of critics have described it as the kind of mid-20s, early 20s maturity album. It's a real step forward for B, and I want to react to it in full and talk about why this album is so special for me. By the way, new challenge, you laugh, you lose. Try and say beabadoobee in the mirror 10 times in a row without laughing.
Beabadoobee, 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 beabadoobee.
I couldn't do it on stream. Let's kick it off with track 1. This is Take a Bite. I feel like there's a kind of Americana riff feeling going through this album, and Take a Bite is one of those kind of subtle bangers that worms its way into your head. The production of Rick Rubin throughout this album, I wouldn't have known it was Rick listening to it, but it really adds something that I can't quite put my finger on. And B's vocal patterns, it's kind of like a da 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 da. There's something really catchy about it. As a lead single, I think this does everything you could ask for. And having it as the album opener as well just feels like the perfect decision. Grabs your attention, gets you bopping your head. And those little notes in the background, I don't know if that's a synthesized piano or a similar kind of instrument, but it just gives you the exact right energy, kind of contrasting the guitar. And weirdly, in her vocal patterns there, it's almost like a 90s grunge kind of pattern I get. Like a My Bloody Valentine or something, maybe even like Smashing Pumpkins. From a shift to track 1 into track 2, I love this intro for California. That percussion at the start really kind of sets the tone for this album. We're going to have a lot of different instruments, a lot of different sounds in the mix. It's not going to be a kind of paint by numbers album, and I really appreciate that. And California, it keeps that kind of American zeitgeist going. The riff feels kind of like nostalgic, almost pop punky, but B's singing style is so different. And you get some incredible riffs in this album. The guitar work, I think, is better than ever. Right there. Pure pop punk. I want to take this moment to honorarily shout out beabadoobee's guitar. Look at this guitar. I want to own this guitar. That's just the nicest shade of pink. Listening to this again, I've just got that bass line coming in the back of the mix. And it's so nice alongside the other components. It's kind of subtle, but gives your ears a nice little massage on the lower notes. And this kind of energy, when the riffs kick in from B, it reminds me of some other kind of artists who are like singer-songwriters really making waves in the UK, the likes of Hannah Gray, Neve Ella. I don't know quite where this sound came from, but it feels like the very in vogue modern UK alt indie star right now. So this is California track 2, and we're already on to the third track. It's a really breezy listen, this album. 41 minutes long. And one time, that kind of warped and wonky guitar in the backdrop. Almost a cheeky bit of Radiohead there, I think. One of the real strengths of this album is the points where the production gets stripped back and you've just got an element in isolation, whether it's the guitar or B's voice, and then all those layers kick back in over the top of each other, and it's like a beautiful tapestry of music being woven in real time. Maybe it's because I've listened to this song before, but I feel like the percussion, the beat in the background is also setting us up for my favorite part of this song, where you get kind of like lulling vocals that go from side to side like a pendulum from B. You'll know it when you hear it. I hope you guys can kind of see what I mean by the side to side and the lull. It's kind of how she's inflecting her voice, the pitch she's going with. It's so dynamic, and it's a really catchy kind of final passage in this song. These are very short songs in the grand scheme of things, you know, just 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. But you get a lot packed into them. Even B's kind of like shouting vocals at the back of the mix, quiet and down there. So cool. One time. And we're on track 4 now. We get the quieter moment of Real Man. Is that a ukulele or just a guitar? It's just the perfect time to insert a quieter moment. And, you know, given we're already almost a third through this album and it kind of hits you at a really fast speed, there's not much filler. It's pure lean Wagyu beefsteak goodness. I hope beabadoobee is not a vegetarian.
Chicken wings, chicken adobo, pancit chicken. I'm scared because I don't eat the middles of my meats.
Once again, I think this track's such a great example of where the production really excels from Rick Rubin, because this could so easily just be a quite forgettable acoustic track, but the extra elements behind the guitar and Bee's voice make it feel more than the sum of its parts. It's got a kind of roll to it, and it does feel weirdly American, like a kind of wagon journey or a wagon roll. Is that a cheeky xylophone? I think that might be a xylophone or a glockenspiel in the background. I always get the two confused. One's metal, one's wooden. I think the glockenspiel's wooden. I'm 99% sure the glockenspiel's wooden. I really love the twinkles in the background. They feel quite playful and kind of like almost retro animated cartoon movie, kind of old school Disney. That's not the last time. Not the last time I'm going to make that comparison in this video as well. If you just isolate the guitars, they do feel kind of like Radiohead The Benz era, I think. Maybe merging a little bit into Kid A. That's like a fake Plastic Trees kind of energy. And once again, it's just the layers working wonders on this track. And here on Girls Song, we get the first kind of isolated piano ballad moment at the start. So cute. I'm pretty sure Bee is a pianist. I think she might be classically trained. Her voice reminds me a bit of Billy's here. It's such a perfect punctuation mark in the album at the near halfway point. There's a really nice bit of ambience in the production of this track, which makes it feel like you're almost listening to a room recording of a real upright piano rather than something digital. And this is the one track that kind of, I think, rightly lets itself stay stripped and raw. Beautiful moment, beabadoobee and Girls Song. Okay. You do the dishes, I'll carry the laundry. Now this one, Coming Home, it might be my highlight of the whole album. You get the beautiful image of just domesticity doing the dishes, and then the kind of, again, the lull, the side to side, with Bee's voice playfully, and some of the craziest instrumentation out of nowhere on this track too. It feels like a lullaby in a way, because you're almost literally rocking back and forth on the key. And then, like, what is that? You suddenly get the marching band drums, and is that a trumpet? This is where, once again, I'm going to say classic Disney vibes. This reminds me of, like, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Like, a really obscure Disney film I grew up with that was made in the 1960s or 70s. And that instrumentation, it has that kind of weird, nostalgic, animated motion picture feeling. It's beautiful and it's genius, and it works so incredibly in this song, which again could so easily have just been this, which in itself is great, but they really just went that extra mile with every song on this album in the production, and it shows. It really shows. Beautiful. Beabadoobee and Coming Home. And now we come on to Everseen, which for me, it's kind of like, you know, we know beabadoobee is signed to Dirty Hit, the 1975 Jamie Oborn's label. This feels like almost Jesus Christ 2005, God Bless America. It's the being funny in a foreign language energy. It feels quite the 1975 coded, and it's a nice little nod, because the rest of this album feels very, you know, aside from that, away from that, but obviously Bee's a fan of the 1975's music, and this feels like a nice little nod to that, with her own twist on it. And that nice little kind of Casio synth chord really adds to it. It's an album that makes you smile, it's an album that makes you feel good, and that's worth its weight in gold for me. It's interesting when I talk about the maturity and then look at the article of the album on Wikipedia, and Bee calling this her first adult album. She's age 24. I know what it's like now. You don't really fully become an adult until you're in your mid-20s and start experiencing a bit of domestic life. And I like seeing bossa nova down as a genre as well. That's probably what I'm talking about with the kind of like the catchy lulls and the playfulness. That bossa nova energy. B bossa nova. Bieber bossa nova. To go alongside Billy bossa nova. And A Cruel Affair, suddenly you have this kind of samba, surfer rock vibe. This production gives me like Gorillaz Plastic Beach energy. Did Rick Rubin work with Gorillaz? It doesn't look like it. That guitar sound, that is the pure surfer rock vibe there. And the wind chimes at the end. I just love this. This is what happens when you kind of let artists develop, let them grow, and kind of let them just do their job rather than making them into, you know, content creators who have to make catchy TikToks or viral TikToks or whatever. Like, this is an artist really at the height of their powers, being given the creative reign to make a beautiful LP that a lot of people will want to listen to. Post feels quite poppy, probably the most poppy B's been on the album. It's got a bit of a Taylor Swift energy to it, without losing that kind of rich alternative rock backing, as those guitars really kick in. That's getting into a proper headbanger there. I'm liking the territory. We're kind of onto the final stretch of this album, which it really does fly by. It's a very breezy listen, and we're onto Beaches, which I think is a lot of people's favourite song on the album. It is funny how it matches the kind of surfer rock image as well. Even the names of the songs, the languages of the album, you know. Beaches, California, talking about spending time in LA. B's definitely reflecting on the music industry, showbiz experience a lot on this record. I love it when I hear artists talk about peace of mind on their songs. We're in the healthy era. And being a young artist in the industry going through the tumult, I feel like when you get into your mid-20s, you start to maybe know the game a bit better and start to kind of find yourself and your identity and know which pitfalls to avoid. Some days I'm afraid to fall down, but I understand the coming outcome. There's the lyrical maturity going alongside the kind of musical development as well. And now the finale of this album is a really satisfying one. That's, again, a tiny glimpse of 1975 energy in the kind of ambient intro here. The Man Who Left Too Soon. The penultimate and final tracks on albums I think are really important, judging that overall quality. Why does this almost feel like a hoedown type song? You could almost imagine like a blowing bottle in the background of this song. There you go, there you go.
Pizza, never ever stop in the middle of a hoedown.
It's got the hoedown energy.
The irony of looking up to something or even just somebody.
She's in like idol worship Paramore territory with these lyrics. I like that. The irony of looking up to somebody. What a really beautiful, spectacular and varied album this is. And the final track on it is actually my favorite point of the whole record, because this is how it went. It's just everything I want from a closing track in an album. It feels like the end credits are rolling and B is just reflecting on her growth and being in a healthy place. It feels kind of mournful, but also complete.
Finding words for an email to you, hanging on a piece of gum.
And she uses this image of a piece of gum on her shoe. And I'm sure this is a recurring motif from beabadoobee's music. I think she mentions it in Talk as well. Yeah, it references Talk. We go together like the gum on my shoes. And she reflects on whether that's a healthy approach to a relationship. The kind of updating of the metaphor, the twisting of the metaphor, the clinging on to something that's not meant to be. It's time to let it go loose. We'll just move on. It's like the healthy drifting apart, the growing and the maturing. I think that's a beautiful reflection and one that her real core fans will appreciate too. Is this her about you moment? Referencing back to Robbers with the 1975.
Writing 'cause I'm healing, never writing songs to hurt you.
Writing 'cause I'm healing, never writing songs to hurt you. Beautiful energy. Would love to have heard that on Taylor Swift's new record, but different kind of energies for, you know. If I speak, that last video was already a big enough drama. I love this final minute of the song where the strings come in. I adore that guitar loop. It kind of reminds me of some of my favourite alt folk bands like Grizzly Bear, Department of Eagles. This is a gorgeous and accomplished record. And this is how beabadoobee converted me from an enjoyer into a fan.
Let me go to sleep.
Let me know in chat any other albums that you think I should react to and listen to. Let me know what your favourite tracks on this album by beabadoobee are and any other albums or tracks from her that I should check out, because I'm still a bit of a newcomer to Bee. Heard her songs before but never the full albums. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay slay. Peace.